Welcome back to our next video. This one is all about detox. So in this video, we want to chat about the most common questions that we get about what the sting versus detox schedule looks like, what detox modalities are, supplements to take when detoxing, all that good stuff. So the biggest thing is that when you are stinging, it is so important to detox, right? Like, if you go back to the video that talks about the science behind VENOM and everything that Siri explained, you can see what all of the compounds in the venom are doing to release things into your system. But once those are in your system, right, like you need to do something to get them out. That's the whole point of this. So it's, people ask about like, wow, you sting yourself with bees and all this stuff. And the stinging is honestly the easy part, right? Especially when you get used to handling bees and all that. But it's everything, the full-time job that comes with that, which is detox. And it's not, the typical like self-care, bubble baths, hanging out kind of thing. Obviously, you want to make it as enjoyable as you can. Like I always light candles and I have like eucalyptus in the shower and, you do what you can. But, you're doing modalities like, infrared sauna, really hot baths, coffee enemas. And so we just want to dive a bit into each of those and what that kind of looks like. But again, this is different for everybody, and it's really important to work with your medical practitioner and just kind of let them know what you'll be doing and what supplements you might need to take while going through this level of detox.
So one of the biggest modalities that folks might not realize is really important is sweating. So sweating is really important because that's one way for your body to rid itself of anything it needs to get rid of. And so one way that you can do that is via a sauna. And what has really worked for us is a near-infrared sauna. And a near-infrared sauna is really potent because it actually can penetrate your cells such that cells that are exposed to near-infrared energy do grow at a faster rate, 150 to 200%, than cells that are not. And there are some studies that even shown that near-infrared saunas have actually helped veterans improve from depression and PTSD. And it's primarily because this radiation can actually penetrate your cells and give your mitochondria energy.
Yeah, and what's interesting about a sauna, and especially a near-infrared sauna, is that like I've noticed that when I do other things that make me sweat, like sometimes, you smell when you sweat, but with a near-infrared sauna, like it is penetrating so deeply and bringing out all that stuff from such a deep level that I find that I don't smell as much as just like, a normal, like a run or sitting outside in the sun or other things that make me sweat. So just kind of an anecdote of like how deep that sweat really is.
And again, like that near infrared technology can just penetrate your cells, which do give your cells energy in a way that just far infrared just doesn't. And one thing that's kind of really important to me, being of South Indian descent, is really the integration of Ayurvedic principles into detox, which is actually a lot of what folks do to detox. So this idea of sweating, and oftentimes what's really helpful for me is giving myself like a therapeutic lymphatic massage, which is called Abhyanga in Ayurveda. And so that involves like heating up some sesame oil and kind of just stimulating my lymph. And because I have Bartonella, and oftentimes like my lymph nodes are problematic for me, it kind of just gets my lymph moving, and then I step into the sauna, and it's just like a whole other level and layer of detox. And so many of the stuff that we're going to be talking about, much of it is not super scientifically validated beyond the near-infrared sauna, which has a lot of really promising science. Much of this is actually just anecdotal and may or may not be what your doctor recommends. And again, it's really important that you consult them before trying any of this, especially if you have conditions like irritable bowel disorders.
There are lots of things just to be mindful of. And if you have, heart conditions or things like that, like again, it's just, we talk to our doctors about all the little nuances, like could be really different for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so I was gonna say another one is like a coffee enema. So coffee enema, as nutso as it might seem, is the process of inserting a very mold-free therapeutic coffee.
Yeah, not just like Folgers or like whatever coffee you drink
nothing
in
like
the
that,
morning.
and not at like a very high temperature because you want to not burn your insides. So inserting a very therapeutic amount of coffee into your body and flushing it out like an enema, and
letting it flush out your liver, all that good stuff.
Yeah, and like why it's kind of important is, or why it's kind of pertinent is because this sort of coffee contains a high amount of palmitic acid. Palmitic acid is an acid that is actually able to cross the blood-brain barrier, which actually stimulates and gives you energy, which is often why when folks do coffee enemas, they report losing their headache or they report feeling much better, and it's particularly because of this palmitic acid. But again, you have to keep in mind that there isn't a lot of scientific research on palmitic acid specific to coffee enemas. And so again, like, please note that we are sharing our own anecdotal experience of what has worked for us. But anecdotally for me, what really works is I go to a place and get a colonic done, and then I go home and do a coffee enema. So it's kind of cleansing me and then kind of giving me another sort of burst of energy. To really go hard, you can do like a hot oil massage, step into the sauna, then jump into a colonic, then go home doing coffee enema.
It's a full-time job.
It's like really taxing and tolling on your body, and you have to really see like how much you need.
Because I don't do that level of things, but again, like I don't have the same history as Siri, the same physiology, physiology as Siri, like. So yeah, I mean, I do a video of how to make your own near-infrared sauna at home, because they're really expensive. A lot of the ones that are ridiculously expensive are far infrared saunas, which are not as helpful, not as deep of a penetration. So keep an eye out for that resource, but I also have a blog on dry brushing, and that's something that in addition to the oil massage, you do the oil massage in the same way that you do the dry brushing, stimulating the lymph, and just kind of getting things moving. And so there are a lot of things that you can do in addition to not having, it's those like little things, right? You have these like big events of like sauna, coffee enema, bath, but between all those you can do these oil massages, these dry brushing, and you really develop these rituals on what works for you. And so for me, I like to, as I'm drawing the bath, like I've only recently incorporated the oil, which has been amazing.
It's like something else.
Yeah, it is. It's some deep detox, but I'll do that. I'll dry brush, and then I'll do the oil, and then I get into a bath, and that seems to be enough for me. Sometimes I'll add in a coffee enema. I try to do coffee enemas on days that I do the sauna, and you just kind of see what works for you, right? Like, our schedules are so different.
I would say like another really good thing is like pulsing between hot and cold therapies, which again is like an Ayurvedic principle. It's like sometimes what we do is like we step into a really, really hot bath. Then like after it's done, we either take like a a cold shower for 5 minutes, or I step into an ice cold bath. I like literally take ice from my freezer, dump it into the bath, sit in there for 5 minutes, and then rinse off with like a hot shower. Or it's just a really great way not only to like get you ready for sleep because of the fact that it's kind of regulating your body temperature, but it's also been shown to actually reduce inflammation.
I mean, if you live in a cold place, as well, like go outside. The amount of times that I would like run from a hot bath outside when it was snowing, things like that. Like, it's all to say that you can make these things work with a lot of what you have around you. This isn't to make it feel hard or anything like that, but detox is just so vital. So
and I would say if you're really crunched for resources, I would say like look into really building your own near infrared sauna, because you can purchase everything like Marissa's going to show you, and it's really cost effective. But I would say the top modality for me is the sauna, because I feel like it provides the most relief. And if there were maybe boiling it down, like you will find your own priority list for you, but I think the top of my list is definitely the sauna.
Absolutely, me too. Yeah, and I haven't been using one for a while, and I'm gonna show you, when I make mine. But I've definitely noticed, and a hot bath is amazing, and a lot of people don't have bathtubs, right? And so figuring out just what you can do, but I definitely agree. I think I rank it sauna, coffee enema, bath.
Yeah.
Bath is like therapeutic and like nice, and sometimes like when I'm just achy and I like that is really nice, but again, you'll find what works for you. But really important to remember when you are detoxing. So like we said, you know, you want to sting one day, detox another, but you do not have to do that, as you know, because I just learned that you don't.
Yeah, so what I do is I sometimes have days where I detox on the morning of my sting, but I also give it like some sort of breakdown so my body isn't like mobilizing as I'm stinging such that this venom is being pushed out either. So sometimes I'll like wake up and step in. I usually do the sauna almost every day in some way. So like on mornings of stings, like I usually oil up, do the sauna, shower, and then in a few hours do the sting. Or on detox like days, I like, again, I always time it such that it's like 24 hours after my sting.
24 hours between your stings.
And again,
your
like there isn't a lot of scientific evidence behind this because B venom for Lyme is just emerging. This is again what's been anecdotally shown to be potent for folks. And again, this is from our experience.
We have found success.
Where we have found success. But again, I always wait 24 hours, but I wouldn't say to be afraid to detox on a morning of your sting as long as you're giving yourself enough time in between such that you're not just mobilizing.
And so when you're detoxing, if you choose to alternate, so I personally alternate. So if I sting Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I'll detox Tuesday, Thursday, and then I do double on Saturday, Sunday. And so on my detox days, I take a binder. And again, like we talked about, you know, as you're stinging, you're releasing stuff into your system. And when you're detoxing, you're really, you know, like flushing this stuff out. So it's really important to take a binder to grasp onto that, so to speak, to really help pull it out.
And just like, again, for a little bit of like a science tidbit, like the process by which binders work is a process called adsorption. So what happens is that these toxins get bound to the surface of whatever you're using, and then they get pulled out of your body. But sometimes, like if you're mobilizing too quickly, what happens is those toxins that are normally attached to the surface of the binder can actually get dislodged and create these kind of inflammatory tags throughout your body and like stir up inflammation. And so you really want to make sure that the binder that you're taking is not only well suited for you, but is at like a low and like thoughtful enough dose such that it's still effective, but also like not gonna make you react crazily.
And it really is different. You know, we know some people who take CSM, you know, cholestyramine. I take activated charcoal, and I take it in powder form just so I can add a little bit to water, just take it like a shot before I detox. But if you do choose to detox on a sting day, you just wouldn't take the binder because then it would negate the effects of the venom.
And again, it's like how long these binders take to work is again like something that's still being studied. For activated charcoal, folks say 2 hours, but just to be on the safe side, I don't take it. And just to note on the cholestyramine that's a prescription medication that's generally used to treat mold. And so folks who are treating mold sometimes take that as their choice and their doctor's choice for their treatment. So again, it's like up to kind of what you and your doctor deem to be the best binder for you, but just to know like CSM is like
it's
a
not
prescription
just something
medication.
you can just order.
You can't just order it. You have to get a prescription.
Again, another anecdote is, and this is not the same for everybody because I know that this did not happen
to me
for Siri, but for me, when I first started B venom, I, you know, was all excited, like going to the sauna, doing all this stuff. And I went to the sauna and forgot to take a binder. And this was about a month and a half into stinging. And I hadn't really, it was kind of just that place where I was like, I know the science of bee venom, right? I know that this is doing something, but I hadn't quite, like I felt myself getting worse, you know, as like things were coming to the surface. And then I was like having some really good days. And I went to the sauna and didn't take a binder. And for me, like with Lyme, like all throughout Lyme, whenever I would have a really bad flare up and get really sick, I would always wake up at 3 a.m. And it's like kind of this like triggering time for me where like I know if I wake up at 3, like it's not gonna be good. And so I woke up at 3 that night, like completely just forgot to take one, woke up, and was so horrendously sick and for like 2 to 3 days. And I remember just being kind of delirious in bed, like telling my partner, like, this is Lyme, like I know this is Lyme, and then having that light bulb moment of like, oh my gosh, I didn't take a binder.
Yeah.
And again, this is so different for everybody, and this is just like my, you know, story of a time that I detoxed. And
like to yourself, you're like, oh, like, man, rookie move.
You know, it's like I should have known better.
Yeah.
And, you know, it was just an interesting experience for me to see that after, you know, that like month and a half or so, to then go and detox and not take a binder, like how much had come to the surface that I then wasn't flushing out. And so that was just kind of a reminder of like, you know, an experience for me that really showed and tied into a lot of the research that is out there about bee venom. So just an anecdote, again, that doesn't happen to everybody. I just, you know, definitely do make sure to take my binders if I'm not detoxing on a sting day. But just a little anecdote for you.
Yeah, just to, you know, kind of show you that everyone's kind of journey with supplements and detox is just really different, and timing is really crucial, especially with bee venom. But
so that is a wrap on this series, 7 videos. Hopefully you enjoyed them. We would love to hear your feedback, hear your thoughts on this. You know, let us know how it's helped. As you know, like, this will be living here with all of the other resources, so you can download that, come back at any time. And we will also plan to do a check-in around our year and a half mark. So really appreciate you tuning in and watching all of these, and we can't wait to hear what you think.